Before there was courage in the palace, there was fear in the shadows. Before there was a queen's crown, there was an orphan girl. This is the story of Esther. In the vast empire of Persia, stretching from India to Kush, King Xerxes ruled with unmatched wealth and power. His palace in Susa gleamed with gold, marble, and jewels beyond counting. Servants moved like clockwork, and every command of the king was law. But power is fragile, and pride even more so. At a royal banquet, when the wine flowed like rivers and the king's heart swelled with self-importance, he commanded Queen Vashti to appear before the nobles, not to honor her, but to display her beauty. She refused. A scandal, a shock. A queen who dared to say no to the king. The decision was swift. Vashti was removed from her throne, and a royal decree was sent through the empire. A new queen would be chosen. Far from the grandeur of the throne, in the quieter streets of Susa, lived a young Jewish woman named Hadassah, known to the Persians as Esther. Orphaned as a child, she was raised by her cousin Mordecai, a man of quiet faith and steady wisdom. When the king's decree reached their neighborhood, Esther's life changed forever. She was taken to the palace, one among many young women gathered for the king's choosing. For months, the women were bathed in oils, perfumed with spices, and clothed in the finest silks. But beauty alone does not win a king's heart. Esther carried something rare into the palace: grace, humility, and a quiet strength. And when she was brought before Xerxes, he chose her. The orphan became a queen. Yet, she told no one of her people or her heritage. Mordecai had warned her, "Do not reveal you are a Jew." Life in the palace may have seemed calm, but beneath the surface, danger brewed. One man, Haman, the king's highest official, burned with arrogance. When Mordecai refused to bow to him, Haman's pride turned to fury. Learning that Mordecai was a Jew, Haman's hatred spread to all of God's people in the empire. He plotted their destruction. Haman approached Xerxes with deceitful words. "There is a people scattered through your empire who keep themselves separate. It is not in the king's interest to tolerate them." Silver was offered, lies were spoken, and the king's seal was placed upon an unthinkable decree. On the 13th day of the 12th month, all Jews, young and old, women and children, would be destroyed. When Mordecai learned of this, he tore his clothes and wept in the streets. The news reached Esther. She was safe inside the palace walls, but her people were not. Mordecai sent her a message, and in it, a challenge. "Do not think that because you are in the king's house, you alone will escape. Who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this?" Esther's heart pounded. To speak to the king without being summoned was a crime, punishable by death, unless he extended the golden scepter. She could stay silent and live, or speak and risk everything. Her reply was short, but fierce. "Go, gather all the Jews, fast for me. I and my maids will fast as well. When this is done, I will go to the king, even though it is against the law. And if I perish, I perish." On the third day, dressed in royal robes, Esther walked toward the throne room. Every step could be her last. Xerxes looked up. The room held its breath. And then, the scepter was extended. Her life was spared. But Esther did not plead right away. Instead, with careful wisdom, she invited the king and Haman to a banquet, and then another. It was there, at the second feast, that the queen revealed her heart. "If I have found favor in your eyes, O king, spare my life and spare my people, for we are sold to be destroyed, killed, and annihilated." The king's face hardened. Who would dare to do such a thing? Esther turned to the man seated at the table. "The adversary and enemy is this vile Haman." Haman's schemes collapsed in an instant. Guards seized him, and the gallows he had built for Mordecai became his own. The king issued a new decree, allowing the Jews to defend themselves. On the appointed day, the enemies of God's people fell. The Jews were delivered. Mordecai was given a position of honor. Esther's name would forever be remembered among her people. And a new festival was born, Purim, to celebrate that in the darkest hour, deliverance came. The crown on Esther's head was not the real story. It was the courage in her heart. She was a queen, yes. But more than that, she was a servant of God, placed exactly where she needed to be for such a time as this.